Hi, welcome back to the Tutorium in Intensive English. I'm Katie, and thanks for joining me. We are today continuing our discussion about reductions and how reductions play out in pronunciation. So today we're going to be taking a closer look at something called contractions. Now, you may already know what contractions are, but we're just going to do a quick review in case you're a little fuzzy. Now, a contraction, this is when we take two words, and we do this when we speak and we do it when we write. They're a little different sometimes, but basically we take two words and we squish them together to make one blended word, right? For example, she will, we contract this to she'll, right? And we use contractions constantly in English. And contractions are completely, totally fine, totally normal. If you feel confident using contractions, you should, okay? So when we make a contraction, we always lose this initial consonant. Like an example with will, we are always going to lose the W, whether we're speaking or we're writing. Now in speaking, we may or may not additionally lose the vowel sound that follows that consonant, okay? So in the will example, this would mean we may use that sound in the will. It's more of a sound actually. So we may lose that as well. And this depends on the sound that comes before, as most things do for learning with pronunciation. It's all about who is your neighbor, right? And how does your neighbor influence you? If you're feeling a little unsure about these rules, then don't worry. We're going to be looking at many examples here in a moment. But first, I would like to just take a second and talk about why we should care about contractions, right? Why is this something that we're spending time on? Well, as always, I think the most important thing to remember at this point in our language learning journey is anything that can help us with listening can help us be a more confident speaker too. So even if this is just something that you do to help your awareness, to help you from a listening perspective, that is amazing. And that's our most, I think the most important reason why we're talking about this. Now, additionally, it can help our speaking if we're ready to incorporate these features into our speaking. But if you're not, if you don't feel confident yet producing contractions or doing reductions in your day-to-day speaking with other, with native speakers, then don't feel like you have to. Practice on your own, and when you feel ready, do it. But you can be completely understood without these features, without incorporating them into your own speech. Okay, so we're going to look at three different sets of contractions today. We're going to start with the verbs will and have. So we have, for each one we're going to look at, well, for the first two sets of words that we're going to look at, there's two rules. Okay, the first rule says that we are going to delete the initial consonant sound and the vowel sound as well if the preceding word ends in a vowel sound. Okay, what do I mean by that? You're like, what? What I mean, here we have two, we're gonna look at two examples. Becky will pick up lunch for us today. Now here, the word Becky, which is where our contraction is happening, Becky will, Becky ends in a vowel sound, right? So we're losing the consonant W and the vowel sound schwa, and we are left with the L only. Becky'll, because the vowel in Becky does the work of our vowel in will, so we just get rid of it. Becky'll pick up lunch for us today. That's awesome. Thanks, Becky. Becky'll pick up lunch for us today. Here's another example. Dave and Debbie have finished their work for today. So we're going to contract Debbie and have into Debbie. Now, Debbie ends in a vowel sound, right? So that means we're only going to be left with the V Dave and Debbie finished their work for the day. Dave and Debbie finished their work for the day. Now, when I say that, it's super fast, right? Don't feel like you have to do that yourself if you're not ready. That's a pretty high level contraction. Dave and Debbie finished their work for the day. Now, the other option is we delete only the initial consonant. So that means only the W or only the H sound if the preceding word ends in a consonant sound. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples of that. Fran will join us when she's finished. So Fran ends in a consonant. So when I combine Fran with will, I'm going to retain the L. So I have the schwa L. Fran'll. Fran'll join us when she's finished. Fran'll. Fran'll. Fran'll join us when she's finished. I have another example with have. Jason and Matt have left for lunch already. So here I'm going to combine Jason with have. Jason ends in a consonant sound N. So Jason of Matt and Jason of, we'll get that transcribed. Jason of Matt and Jason have left for lunch already. Matt and Jason have left for lunch already. Matt and Jason have left for lunch already. Okay, now we're going to go into the past. We're going to look at contractions with would and had. So same rules apply here as the ones in our previous slide. If the preceding sound is a vowel sound, we're going to lose more of the word. We're going to lose the initial consonant as well as the vowel sound. So let's look at a couple examples. Renee. Renee had never been late for work. So Renee had never been late for work. Renee ends in a vowel sound. So we're just going to connect Renee with the D, the final consonant. That's all that remains in had. Renee'd. Renee'd never been late for work. Renee'd never been late for work. Same thing with Ellie. Ellie would like us to leave in 20 minutes. So Ellie ends in a E sound, a vowel sound. So we're just going to keep the D sound from the would. Ellie'd. Ellie'd like us to leave in 20 minutes. Ellie'd. Ellie'd. Ellie'd like us to leave in 20 minutes. Now, if, just like the previous slide, if the preceding word ends in a consonant sound, we are going to keep the vowel sound on our verb. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples. Chris ends in the consonant sound S. So we are going to say this as Chris'd. Chris'd seen the movie before. Chris'd seen the movie before. Chris'd seen the movie before. Same thing with Stephen. Stephen ends in the consonant sound N. So we are going to pronounce that Stephen'd. Stephen'd like to join us for lunch. Sounds kind of funny when I say it slowly. Stephen'd. Stephen'd. Stephen'd like to join us for lunch. Stephen'd like to join us for lunch. Stephen'd like to join us for lunch. Okay, now here's our last slide to learn. These are contractions with is and has. Okay, now this is kind of going to remind us of something that we've looked at before, which is the past tense ed sounds. Remember our t, d, and ud? This is really similar because there are also 3 separate possible sounds for the is and has. So we can either pronounce this as uz, schwa plus z, just a z, z, or just an s. And it all depends on the final consonant sound, or the, sorry, not consonant, the final sound that comes before, okay? Now, if our sound is s or z or sh or z or ch or j, then we are going to do the uz, okay? the uz. And that is because all of these sounds are very similar to S and Z, okay? That is why we insert the vowel schwa there to break up these sounds that are kind of similar. Just like with our past tense, when we had to add a vowel sound between two T's and two D's, right? So we do ud. If the verb ended in T or the verb ended in D, we'd add an extra vowel sound. So let's look at an example. Office. Office ends in S sound, so the office is closed, right? It'd be really hard to say S after S. The office is closed. So we add a vowel sound in between. The office is closed. Offices. Or my watch is broken. My watch is broken. My watch is broken. My watch is broken. Okay, now my other rule would be if the sound before ends in a voiceless sound. Here we have P, T, K, F, and theta. Then I add S. Now you'll notice S is voiceless. All those sounds are voiceless. So they go together. Just like if my verb ended in T, I added a T. Or I'm sorry, if my verb ended in a voiceless sound, I added a T. Okay, so it reminds us of those past tense verb endings. So for example, Matt. Matt ends in a voiceless T sound, so I just add S. Matt's. Matt's coming in early to help. Beth. Beth's not coming. Beth ends in the voiceless sound theta, and so I add S. Beth's. Beth's not coming. Now our last option is if the sound preceding sound is a voiced consonant sound. B, D, G, V, ev. That is the sound in the beginning of the word the, for example. M, N, eng, those are all voiced nasals. Or L and R, also voiced sounds. If these sounds come before, then I will add the voiced sound Z as my S. Okay, so Dave's finished with the project. Dave's, so I have voiced sounds going together. Dave's. Or Jordan ends in a voiced N sound, so that will be a Z. Jordan's going to come over after work. Jordan's going to come over after work. All right, so there you have it. Those are our conjunctions, okay? You will be a professional before you know it. Keep practicing. Don't pressure yourself to use these until you feel fluent enough and prepared. I don't want you to go out there and feel like people are having a hard time understanding you. I don't want you to feel like you can't do it and to feel bad. So just practice on your own. And when you're ready, go ahead and give it a try. All right, I will see you next time.